What is up, folks? Jeremy Brand here, MMA Suck at Church. We are live. A couple weeks for me. Got the Movember rocking strong, still rocking 75 hard. Day 41 today. Drinking my water. A couple weeks ago, I competed at a jiu-jitsu tournament. Had a ton of fun. Did not come away with a medal, but had a ton of fun. Today we got Andrew Benjamin joining the show. I'll bring him aboard right now. He will be right here to the right of the screen. Andrew, thanks for joining me today, man.
Hey, thank you for inviting me to the MMA church.
Yeah, now live streams are fun. They can go many different directions. You never know what's going to happen. But before we get started with things here, you've been aboard the MMA Sucka train and the squad for quite some time now. You cover Ryzen. You cover.
I was a journalism major back in college because I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to be the next Walter Cronkite, or I'm going to be working for the New York Times. I'm going to be exposing corruption, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, for kids that don't remember this, I graduated college when the post George Bush 40 whatever George Bush Jr. And then Obama recession that happened, and along with the changing of the guard of journalism from print to online, places wanted people who can do online stuff and who can write. I only knew one of the two, so unfortunately, I had to compete with a lot of much more smarter people than me. Um, and for MMA, so when I was in college, again, college as well, at my dormitory, there was a security guard who I used to always talk to. Ridiculous. Here's some MMA stuff. You probably you call it Evan Tanner. Ironically, both are dead now, unfortunately. Tito Ortiz, Couture, like that era of UFC. So, and I was just like, oh, this is cool. This is like really, really cool. Because I had seen some MMA stuff beforehand, but it was like only Ken Shamrock stuff because they would mention on WWF commentary and listen. So like if you watch some of that stuff, it was sometimes like pretty bad and pretty boring.
Yeah.
Since there was no time limit. I think um and so to combine that with journalism and MMA, um I, my main job is I work in film and TV, but now I do like journalism on the side. So I'll like work for like local papers or like other websites in the area. So I mean,
Well, you were talking about how MMA, and you were talking to a security guard, and he said you liked pro wrestling and whatnot, and now you're gone again. I am not sure what is happening today. Good lordy. Lots of technical issues on the. There you are.
okay, I now that I don't know what happened with that. Okay, sorry. What were you saying, Jeremy?
I said you were talking about how you met a security. There was a security guard on campus, and he was talking about you guys talked about pro wrestling. You like pro wrestling. He didn't like pro wrestling. Blah blah blah
Oh,
blah
geez,
blah.
I talked so much after that. I didn't even know I. Okay, so long story short, yeah, he gave me DVDs for UFC. Thought this was cool. Much more different than when I used to watch it as a kid.
Yeah.
Um, and then in the journalism part, so I do jiu-jitsu as well. Got to know some MMA fighters as well, and they were taught. I was like, I know some people, places that might want to, talk to you about your fight. So, I would, write about them, talk about their fights and all that stuff. And then I was like, oh, I like this. I like talking to fighters. I like hearing their stories. They're very unique people. Very yeah, I think that their stories should get more eyes on them. And so, yeah, that's how I got into MMA journalism, just in general.
So you dabble. You said you write for a few other outlets. Not necessarily. It's not necessarily in MMA though. So you dabble with other
Yeah,
journalism as well, correct?
yeah. So, I've written. There's a newspaper here in New York City called the Queens Chronicle, which is a local newspaper. I remember way before I think I was writing for you guys, I wrote up about Marcus Galvo.
Okay.
when he had his title fight against Joe Warren, like 100 million years ago in Bellator. Um, because I knew him because I had a friend who trained at, this is when I was at Matt Serra's school, who knew him. And I was like, oh, hey, can I talk to him? That's one example. Another example is if you remember this guy, Costa Philippou. He also
Oh
used to
yeah.
train at Sarah. He used to train at Sarah's as well. And this was he was supposed to have the fight with Jacare. And yeah, so and Costa was right there. I was like, hey, any chance I could? Yeah, so that's basically like I got into it because I had such an easy in because I'm literally like with the fighters there at the school. So I didn't have to
Definitely.
go through like managers, UFC or Bellator. I could just do that stuff right there. So and yeah, just hearing about like their whole backstories and all that stuff, especially like somebody like Casa Philippou, if you coming all the way from Greece or Cyprus, wherever he came from, and all that, and yeah, so it was just I think that they have some of the most interesting backstories. A lot of these fighters and why they do this. Why it's a very unique sport.
Are you still training in the same gym?
Now, unfortunately, one the Sarah school that was closest to me, closed down during the pandemic, and the only other one is like all the way out east of Long Island. Like, if I were to go there, I could probably watch an entire Lord of the Rings movie, like
No.
to there and back. That's how far it is. So now I'm at 10th Planet NYC, which is a much more easier commute.
Have you always been? You haven't always been a no gi guy though, right? You trained in the gi
No,
as well, yeah.
no, but I think I still yeah I still got my gi right here. Which I go to. There's a school in Long Island that I go to do gi stuff. Listen, I paid $200 for this thing. I'm not gonna just give it up just because Eddie Bravo says it's impractical. So yeah, no, I started out in the gi, and when and then when I got, I don't know if your school they do the thing where if you get 4 stripes, then you could do no gi. Is that how they do it there?
Nah, we just train no gi or gi specifically depending on the days.
Yeah, so basically that's how Sarah does it. I think that's a Gracie thing. That might be
Yeah,
a Gracie Barra thing. So like when I got my 4th stripe, I was like getting to Nogi is like it felt like climbing Mount Everest.
of course.
Yeah, because um and then I just eventually was like, you know what? I hate cleaning this thing. The gi sucks. Especially you can only wear. I find this thing is so impractical at times to clean, to wear,
That's why I
and
have
stuff.
far too many gis, man.
Yeah. Um, I would have more. The only problem is I don't have enough space to put them anywhere, so
Yeah.
I only got two. But yeah, when I was able to do nogi, I just started like doing that more often. And I was like, this is really cool. Like nogi is just like so much better in my personal opinion.
Well, it's a different game, that's for sure. Less constraints, not as much friction. The guys can't hold you in one place with lapels and whatnot. It's a completely different game. We got some comments here in the comment section. I'm not going to get to them yet because I want to talk about this past weekend. We'll get to those comments in a little bit. But you covered PFL this past weekend. Let's get to this screen where we can share. Right there, I want to bring you in to this screen. I should have done that earlier, but I forgot. You know what? Well, forget it.
I
I'm
see
gonna.
I see the comments. I like the username. That takes
Anyways,
place.
let's talk PFL. We've had technical difficulties the whole way. We'll just talk about the event itself. You covered it as media for MMA Sucka. You were lucky enough to get in there. Someone else was covering it for MMA Sucka. I don't even know who the heck that guy was.
I was wondering who that was too. I was like, who is Corey Goldsmith? And they put us next to each other. What I thought maybe happened was, so I tried to also look up Corey Goldsmith on like Google. Nothing comes up. I don't know where that name came from. Do you think somebody was trying to use the MMA Sucker name to kind of
I don't know. I
get
might
in?
contact a few of their media reps to find out what the deal with that was. Because I know with Bellator, like, Danny Brenner will hit me up via text and be like, hey, because we had a guy, Brian Knight, cover Bellator a couple weeks back. And Danny's like, hey, so Brian Knight applied for media credentials or Danny Brenner, yeah, he hit me up. He's like, this guy applied for media credentials. Does he work for your site? And they really want to, get to know whether the guys are legitimately with MMA Sucka. So Bellator does that. Obviously, PFL doesn't. If this guy's with MMA Sucka and we have no idea who the heck he is, but I don't know. Did you have a chance to chat with the guy? Was he even there?
Nope, nobody came to that thing, and they put us right next to each other. So I was like, I'm hoping I see this Corey Goldsmith because I want to kind of do like the sitcom thing. I'm like, and to see if he like, hey, so what have you been, what have you been for a sucker? And I'll be like, oh, that's cool, that's cool. Hopefully that he wouldn't see my name, and I'll be like, and then eventually like I was supposed to be like, oh, I also write for MMA Sucker.
Yeah.
Maybe like catch him in a lie.
This card was pretty good. You had a chance to do the post fight press conference or post fight interviews and press conferences and whatnot,
Oh
which
yeah.
a few emotions there. And the first one you had, obviously, I interviewed Dakota Ditcheva last week, leading up to this fight, and she's something special. She won by knockout in the first round. She got emotional in her post fight speech, which I was surprised by. Not the fact that she was emotional for winning, but emotional for the fact that she sort of gets down on herself. And you wouldn't think someone in her position getting into a cage with a mother who's built herself up to being this strong presence to get emotional about not necessarily believing in herself and whatnot. Were you surprised by this? And what do you think of Dakota? Do you feel like she's like the next big thing for women's MMA?
So yeah, this is my first. I watched your interview because you even said during your interview, impressive, especially as somebody coming from kickboxing, because
Yeah.
she see, you know, compare this with like Clarissa Shields, who well-known boxer and made her thing into the PFL, but like clearly she had some issues. I think it was oh, what was the fighter that she fought? She fought the grappler girl. Um, I'm forgetting her name, but like Clarissa Shields clearly doesn't hasn't fully transitioned into full MMA yet, and
No.
she has yeah. And so I think that Dakota, I apologize. How do you pronounce her last name?
Ditcheva.
Dakota Ditcheva, I think looked, and at least in this outing, like she's fully game for the MMA game. And I don't know. This was 125, right? Was this
Yes.
125 or 130? So yeah, I think you know there's a lot of interesting competition that could be at 125. I don't know who PFL is going to hire for put into if they do a tournament for
She's
next
gonna
year.
be, as she said, she's gonna be doing the
Oh
PFL
yes,
Europe.
yes,
So
the challengers, the Euro series. Okay,
yeah,
um, that'll be interesting. That would be interesting because I'm not so sure who else at 125 in Europe is like what I consider high level competition. Sure, she might be just de facto best at this point. Um, that's not signed to like UFC or Bellator at this point. But yeah, she looked impressive. Incredible knockout.
anything else from the preliminary card that stood out for you?
Oh well, I don't know if you know this, Jeremy. Did you know that Muhammad Ali's grandson actually fought on the show? I didn't know that because apparently it was not said enough. So I just want to make that clear that Muhammad Ali's grandson actually had a fight at the PFL finals and won.
Was that the first fight on the card?
Yes, and it was actually an amateur fight.
Interesting.
So
And he beat the guy I see in 45 seconds.
yeah, so it was interesting because the way he knocked him down, it wasn't even a knockout. That was definitely an amateur like finish, like, the way that the referee ended it. Because you probably have gone to amateur fights, and like if a guy gets knocked down, the referee will a lot of times like step in, even if it's not a knockout.
Yeah.
They can just yeah. So the guy was clearly not knocked out. He just got I think it was a hook or a jab, and then fell down. It was clearly conscious, but then the referee stepped in and was like, "Yeah, um, I mean, good for Muhammad Ali's grandson. I don't know. I don't know what. that's a weird family tree.
I didn't
There's
even
like
know
only
PFL did amateur fights.
I didn't know either, and I didn't even. I actually updated it. So I when I wrote the results, I didn't even put down like amateur non-title fight. I didn't know that until after
Yeah,
when they mentioned it during the press conference. I was like, wait, that was amateur. So I went back into the press things that they sent us, and they said, oh, amateur, and I didn't even notice that. That
interesting.
was yeah. I don't know if they used different size gloves even. Or if there was like any special rules. The fight didn't even last that long to even like you can't even tell. But
Yeah, we have weird
I'll
amateur rules up here in BC where uh, they have, if you have less than three amateur fights, there's no striking to the head on the ground and whatnot. Like it makes it really tough to open up submissions. So guys will go to the ground almost on purpose because if you get your back taken, you can't strike to set up a rear naked choke or anything like that. So you got to hit to the body. Makes things really interesting. I'm surprised that they did this, but let's move on to the main card. I got this screen share set up. The main card stacked with tournament bouts other than the Aspen Ladd fight. Any thoughts on those first three fights? I was very, very impressed by OAM in his fight. You wouldn't think this guy would win by knockout. He typically is a grinder. Aggressive performance takes home the.
see. So, well, I mean, I'm sad that well, I'm happy to OAM won, but like because Stevie Ray's like backstory was like really really cool. I was really hoping he would win. So I'm kind of biased. Not upset that OAM won. Just I would have preferred a Stevie Ray one. Um, but out of those three, probably Rob Wilkinson, most impressive. I think he finished everybody in this year's playoffs. His only two losses were in UFC, and one was the Izzy Adesanya, and I don't remember the other one. Um, but he and people like Brendan Loughnane and others are making great examples of having incredible successful careers outside UFC. Um, and I think yeah, you the way that Rob Wilson just also won that fight, he not he I don't I think if they had gone to a decision, I think it would maybe be like almost 10-7. Well, it
Wow.
was a title fight, title fight, yeah, because yeah, Omari, had nothing. Nothing was working on his end, and he got cut up. Yeah. I thought they were not good. I didn't think they were going to stop the fight. I thought they were going to let it continue, but I guess the doctor was merciful and was like, "This poor guy, like, yeah, yeah, your face is split open. Yeah, it's not gonna work for another two rounds or 3 rounds, whatever it was. No, 3 rounds. It was the second round. So yeah,
Yeah. All right, well, let's move up to that Aspen Ladd fight. I saw all over social media, a lot of people were criticizing the decision here. It was a split decision, non tournament fight. Aspen Ladd got the split decision 29-28 on two judges' scorecards. She definitely won the first round. Now, the second and third round, she was hitting air. If anything, Julia Budd was landing some knees from the clinch and whatnot. I it wasn't a fantastic fight by either woman, but how did you score this fight?
so listen, to me the game changer was that incredible spinning elbow that Aspen Ladd did. I thought, oh my god, that was the what changed the pace of the fight. Just kidding. Anyway, yeah, the first round was definitely for Ladd. Um, it's for the second and third round. It's one of those things where like okay, while she was hitting air, Julia was. I didn't see. It's so weird to say this, but like she got some knees in, but who I I think in terms of controlling the fight, I think it was probably that's why they gave it to Aspen, or at least two of the judges gave it to Aspen because she was the one who was kind of pushing the pace more than these knees that Julia was attempting. I think if I remember correctly, um, Aspen was the one who was yeah. I think cage control or control the opponent certainly was the reason why they gave it to Aspen in this case. I was seriously, I'm not gonna. if you said Julia Budd won, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that.
Makes
But
sense.
it's very impressive though that like I really thought that Julia Budd was actually gonna probably go through Aspen. I really thought like this was gonna be like
I
a
did
good
as well.
competition.
I did too. Now, the last three fights, impressive performances by all three people in their victorious states. Obviously, Brendan Loughnane earning the TKO in the fourth round to bring home the $1 million for him. Larissa Pacheco, obviously, that's a upset. Could be the upset of the entire year against Kayla Harrison. Uh, which of those two? Obviously, Brendan was spectacular and very impressive in that one. What were your thoughts on the main event? And were you surprised that it went down this way? Because obviously, many were.
So so we were in the press room. I was in the press room at this time. So I was not in the arena, in the audience part of the arena. So, but like we were all just so impressed with like this fight. It was so even back and forth. Like one round would go to Kayla, then it seemingly the next round Larissa would control. Uh, 3 and 4, it was almost dead even. And then the fifth was yeah. This fight was so was it it was a fight. I would call it a women's fight of the year, but just on a different level because of just the incredible back and forth it was. And we were, when they were before they announced the judge, because okay, this is New York. New York is not known for
Yeah.
its expertise in judging. So we were, a lot of us were we thought that Larissa had won, but this is New York. So if they had given it to Kayla, I think you could call that a true robbery. Um, but you would have been like, oh, it's New York, so no surprise. But yeah, like I thought this fight was just we saw an evolution of Larissa, and I thought this showed that Kayla God, so that Kayla is a good MMA fighter. I don't care what people say. Like, there's a lot of idiots out there. I'm like so tired of like the whole that Kayla was only fighting cans, and all that stuff because I think that's just like not factually correct. I think actually Aaron Bronstetter had the best take on Kayla's on this fight post on Kayla after this fight, and yeah, we saw Kayla needs to work on some things, and that's whether that's personal and stuff in the gym, but she definitely has the tools to be an incredible, I think, like a top level MMA fighter. And I'm very, presuming she does the tournament next year. She said she wasn't so sure she wants to do the tournament thing. If she does somehow rematch Marissa, I would be very much to see if how she comes back from a loss because that's how it always is in MMA. You have different levels of people who come back from losses. The worst, I think, obviously judo, a former judo player as well, Ronda Rousey, who never recovered from her first loss to Holly Holm ever. Um, but then you have others who, like GSP, after his loss to Matt Hughes, became an unstoppable machine.
Yes. Those were two knockouts, I might add. Ronda Rousey and GSP. Obviously, Kayla's was not the knockout, so it might be a little easier to come back from a decision loss, especially since you said it was such an amazing fight, back and forth. You never know; could have gone either way if with New York judges. She got highly emotional as well. From someone of her stature, as high level as she was in judo, coming into this as the big favorite as she was, she's lost her title. She got really emotional about that. And were you surprised that the emotions ran through Kayla like this? Because I know she's typically very level headed when it comes to everything going on around her. Her children, her fighting game. Even talking to the media, she's very level headed. She talked to Ariel, I believe, earlier this week and spoke about the fight itself. And then the emotions just ran through her with this. I mean, obviously, she's a human being. This will likely make her come back stronger. But were you surprised in the press room that she got as emotional as she did?
Well, I just also want to preface that by saying that they were only having the winners talk to us. So you won the fight, you came to the back and talked to us. None of the other people who lost their fight talked to us. After I think I think it was after Larissa talked to us. Um, we then got word that Kayla said she wants to talk to all of us, and we were kind of like, "Oh, really? Okay, sure." And then, yeah, it was. I think I thought the way that she presented herself, the way that she responded to the loss, the way that she was there, really, I really got a newfound respect for her to kind of just face the music.
Yeah.
Uh, and she even said that that she's lost before in judo, but that this loss was something different. And I, she said that she's gonna be going to Ohio for a vacation or something. And probably I don't know when she's gonna go back to the gym, but I think I apologize. What was the original question again?
Just if you were surprised how emotional she got.
Oh no! Oh yeah, no. I definitely was not. I was definitely not surprised with how emotional she is. I've seen her get emotional. I'm trying to remember which fight it was. It may have been the second Alyssa Pacheco where they had at the finals. May have been that, but where she not emotional, but she was more angry that she
Yeah.
couldn't finish
Yeah,
Alyssa.
I
So
remember
she
that.
so she definitely has. She definitely gets this. She's grown up in sports,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's almost so much a part of her life that her emotions, her reactions, her actions are almost tied directly to how she performs. You see some MMA fighters, they'll be like, "Oh, I lost," it is what it is. And then there's others, who are even more upset when they won. Actually, here's a great example. Remember when Daniel Cormier fought Patrick Cummings, and he got pissed off because he said that he got a shot in on him,
Yeah.
and you would think I know he was probably half joking, but I think a part of him was really upset that like Patrick Cummings, former Starbucks employee,
Exactly.
got this
Well, that
punch
that
on
was
him.
the lead up, right? Patrick
Yeah,
Cummings, just a Starbucks
yeah.
barista.
No, so I think definitely with Kayla, this is not I mean I was not surprised at all by the way how she took that loss, and I think, but in the end, I think it's kind of good the way she did. It's
Yeah.
kind of like an inverse of Rousey, where Rousey. So after home, I don't know. After home, it was Nunez, right? After home, I think she faced
Yes.
Nunez, right? So remember, she did no media up until I remember that was a big thing that Rousey was not talking to media. She did no interviews up until the fight, and clearly you knew that like okay, she's still bitter from that loss. I think we're gonna not. I don't think Kayla's gonna be like that. I think it's gonna be an inverse of Rousey where she's going to take that loss and make it something so much better, and this is kind of like she's gonna use this opportunity as a positive for her. And I love the fact that the video has almost 50,000 views. By the
Yeah.
way,
And thank you to Aaron. You spoke about Aaron Bronstetter earlier. Thank you to him for tweeting it out and letting people know that we have that over on the MMA Sucker YouTube channel. You can check out her post fight press conference there. Before we move away from the PFL, I just want to ask you you've covered many different organizations from a media standpoint. How did PFL stand out in this as a media member?
PFL is always great. I'll say that. They're very easy to communicate. They got like three different people that are contacts. What is it? Oops. Sorry, I'm going out of focus.
It's all
Hold
good.
on. Let me fix that. How am I now?
Still
Am
out
I
of
still
focus.
okay? Let me let me fix that. How about now?
A little better.
Hold on. If I do this, maybe this will make it better. Okay, well, I'll talk while I'm fixing this. So, yeah, you got like three different people. You got Tawny, Gabby, and Lauren.
Yeah.
So there's not nobody who you can't find. and like help with what's going on, if you have anything or need to get interviews or whatever. The one thing that I'll say this is that so MSG Hulu Garden is a oh god, it's like a mess up arena. I don't like it. I hate the layouts. It's horrible. So last time I came to PFL, they had a media room in the whatchamacallit. It's so there's two media rooms. One that's near the entrance of the arena itself, and then one that's like you have to go through the VIP slash locker room area. And
Okay.
so for the one last time, so I forgot. This was when Pettis fought Stevie Ray, second time. You can just as soon as like you can just go and to the media room near the entrance. You just show your thing. You go in there. For this one, what we had to do is somebody would come by and say, "Oh, so and so is ready to talk. Who wants to go?" We couldn't go on our own. We couldn't. Yeah, we either we had to wait for somebody to come by and tell us that it's okay, to come back, and then when that was done, if we wanted to come back to our seats in the media area, we had to get escorted there as
Oh my
well.
goodness.
And then I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I can't stand this anymore. I'm just gonna sit in the media room. So I think it was after Wilkinson, because what happened was like, okay, so after the Wilkinson fight um, happened, I think it was Shaman Moraes who was talking. So I just waited in the media room, for like 15 minutes, see if Wilkinson was going to come, and I was like, okay, whatever, they'll let us know when he comes by. So I get escorted back, and then we get the word that um, who was it? Whatchamacallit? That if anybody wants to get some food or whatever, because they also had food in the media area.
Yeah.
Hey, not there's somebody to come by and take us there. So I was like, oh, I want to get something. I come by and then I see Rob Wilkinson walking out of the media room, and I was like, oh fuck, I just missed him. That's why we have all the videos about Rob Wilkinson, because
Oh yeah.
so I was just like, fuck this. I'm just gonna ask them, hey, can someone come with me to grab my stuff, come back, I'm gonna stay here. So I saw the first half of the show in the arena, and
Yeah.
then I just sat in the meeting room because I was just like, this is ridiculous. I
Makes
can't do
sense.
this.
Makes sense
And
for
it's not
sure.
and it's not a short walk. So you gotta walk. It's like I would say it's a good 7 or 8 minute walk
Oh
to that
Jesus.
part of the because it's on the other side, as
Yeah.
opposed to the one that's near the entrance where you just kind of have to go through an exit and you go past concessions, and then it's just right to the escalators. If you ever go there, I'll give you a tour and you'll be like, this is like impossible and stupid. The other thing also was that there was a Knicks game at that time, so Knicks were playing at MSG proper,
Yeah.
and then we have the PFL thing going on here. So there was a big mix up at the beginning because there's one press entrance, and so they were making us wait, but having the Knicks people go through first.
Oh my goodness.
So I almost didn't make it in time for the to see Muhammad Ali's grandson, excuse me, uh, fight, because they were giving priority to the Knicks.
Of course.
But the people there are great overall. They're great. They're easy to get to.
Yes.
Their press releases are beautiful. You probably get them as well,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Oh, and very detailed. Yeah, no issues at all. No issues at all. They're great people at PFL.
All right. I'm not going to go over a preview or anything of this upcoming week. I'll talk to you guys, tell you guys what's happening. We got UFC Fight Night, Stephen Thompson versus Kevin Holland. Interesting fight. We'll let the MMA Sucka podcast with Fraser Crone and Tim Wheaton cover that. We've got one on Prime Video 5 on Friday. Another fantastic card. It's pretty stacked as well. But before we let you guys go, let's get to this comment in the comment section. We got Strickland's Burner. We'll throw that up on the screen. He says, Roman or Jack, I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but this past week, Derek Brunson is out. Jack Hermanson will now face Roman Dolidze. This guy says, I'm leaning Roman only because he has good takedown defense and Jack doesn't have good takedowns. He should be able to outstrike him. All right. Andrew, what do you think?
Um, isn't Brunson on a streak now?
Brunson's
Winning streak.
out.
Oh, Brunson's out. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah,
I
so
misheard
Jack
you. Oh,
Hermansson's
okay.
now facing Roman Dolidze. So Jack Hermansson was
Jack.
supposed to face Derek Brunson. Brunson is out.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I misheard you. Jack Hermanson. Huh. Oh, God, that's a tough one.
It is.
I,
So
and it's
this
not
guy's
tough
leaning.
because
This guy's leaning Roman. I'm leaning Jack. I think Jack's striking might be able to get it done, and takedown defense. I don't know. It's tough to say because Jack might be able to pop back up. I'm leaning Jack Hermansson just with his striking.
my problem with Jack Hermanson is that as of late he has not been. He's kind of he's starting to enter that phase where he's becoming an all rounder, but I'm not using that in a positive sense. I would lean towards more him. I think he can maybe control the fight. I tend
Definitely his
to
first 5 rounder in the UFC.
okay. Um, I tend to lean towards people who already have had 5 rounders only because they are known for like I think they do have a higher percentage of winning most like I think
Yeah,
that's at least my belief, or at least I think that's the I think that's what usually what happens. Um, I'm good. I think this will my belief is that it'll probably go to a split decision. I think probably for Hermanson. Um, if Roman if Roman's not ready for the 5 rounds, then it could be possibly a very long and arduous night for him. I'll have to lean slightly on Hermanson,
fair
just
enough. Fair
just
enough.
on that.
That does it for another edition of MMA Church live on MMA Sucka YouTube channel. You can check out all of Andrew Benjamin's PFL post-fight stuff over on the MMA Sucka YouTube channel as well. Make sure you check out MMA Sucka podcast tomorrow with Tim Wheaton and Fraser Crone. He is Andrew Benjamin. I am Jeremy Brand. That does it for MMA Church.